I often find, to say, so for example, when I work with people in that space, sometimes I'm taking them to the gym, and I often find some workers, and I don't think it's their fault or anything, but they don't talk to them. They talk through me to them, if that makes sense. And like it, I feel like if as someone who's trying to be a part of the community, and they should be treated like any other person. You should, just if you want to say hi, to say hi to them, not through me. Like I'm not the one you're saying hi to. Yeah, go say hi to them. For people who are not really familiar with this space, what are some of the things people can do just to help someone with a disability feel a bit more part of the community and sort of interact in their everyday life?
That's a great question, because that I think that's the biggest issue in terms of bridging the gap between able-bodied people like yourself and people with disabilities, especially physicals like myself. And you've got to forget about the disability. There's a massive stigma in conversations as well, like you just brought up. So, for example, in my life, and I had this conversation with Shane Kelton, who runs Power, Strength and Vulnerability, who I think you saw that podcast I did, so shout out to Shane. The question he asked me was around the conversations we're having with people with disability. So if you want to know a question about me, and you were trying to talk about my disability for whatever the question was, the general thing is you would come up to me and go, can I ask you a question, please? Or something like that. Can I ask you a personal question? You probably stutter through it because you're not confident in asking me the question, because you know it's a personal question, and you've probably experienced it before with other people, and they don't like talking about it for their reasons, and that's fine as well. I think we just need to me that's a massive stigma, and we just need to get rid of it. So in that regards, you just got to ask a question. Forget about the disability and just ask them. Yeah. If you were to break your leg, for example, if I haven't seen you in about a year at least, and if you happen to have do an ACL, for example, and you were on crutches, I would walk up to you and go, "What happened to your knee?" Yeah. And I'd come straight out and say it. Now, you and I have that relationship, so I can do that as well. Yeah. But if someone was on crutches, an able-bodied person on crutches, you would just ask them why they're on crutches, because you don't normally see them on crutches. But for whatever reason, when you see someone with a disability, people are very concerned, or they're very they're scared of asking that question, and it's because we're effectively being treated differently for whatever reason we're being treated differently. So you've got to treat us as if we're an able-bodied person, or just like you. I'm a big believer, and this is something that my parents drilled into me as well when I was younger, most likely. I don't have the proof of it, but I guarantee they would have. Everybody's the same. Everybody's the same. The word disability, if you look it up in the dictionary, means the inability to do something. You haven't got the ability to do something. Everybody, every single person in this world, I don't care who the fuck you are, every person in this world can't do something, or has trouble doing something. Yeah. Some people can't run, some people can't jump, some people can't write neatly. And you can go on about what you can't do. Everyone knows what they can't do. And that's a big focus for people. For whatever reason, that's the society we live in. We always focus on the negative and what we can't do. And so they go, "Oh shit, why can't you do that? Can you walk?" I used to, when I was single especially, I'd go out to parties and whatnot, and I'd have girls come up to me, or even guys or whatever, come up to me, "Can you have sex?" Okay, why can't I? Mm. Now, my smart ass self would say something stupid, but just simple things like that. People don't understand, because they're treating me as someone who's different, but then everybody's different. So that's from I guess your point of view, your side of things. So I think we need to take that stigma out of the disability and make it a regular, normal thing, which is what we're doing with, for example, the rainbow community, just as an example. We're becoming society's becoming more accepting of them. People with disability are becoming more accepted in the community, because that's how That's how society's gone. We've grown, we've matured, we're getting better with life, which is great. Now, at the same time, you have to look at the other side. This is not all your fault. You're asking a question with a stigma attached to it, but that's not your fault. Not entirely. It takes two to tango, and the person with a disability, being me, needs to take my responsibility in it as well. And this is where, again, the upbringing that I have plays a massive part, and my maturity as well. When I became very accepting and loving of my own condition, which took a while. You come to me with a question about my disability because all you are is curious to learn. And 99% of people are just curious to learn what's going on. So therefore, all I'm doing is educating. People are asking me a question because they want to learn. So it's my responsibility to give them a mature answer. How they react to the answer is completely on them. It's got nothing to do with me. But there's a lot of people out there with disabilities that, for whatever reason, most likely because they haven't come to terms with their disability yet, or their self-love, or whatever the situation is, they tell them to fuck off, or it's none of your fucking business, or they just keep moving on. They don't even acknowledge the person. The amount of times I've had a kid come up to me and say, look at me, staring at me, going, "Why are you like this?" What good does it do for that kid for me to just keep walking past? Because then that kid's going to have trust issues, or he's going to develop something negative from that small interaction, and it means nothing to me because I just walk past it. But you never know what it's doing to that young kid. So while society needs to become more adaptive towards people like myself with disabilities, we need to become more adaptive to the willingness of other people to learn. Some people are being very rude and selfish and disrespectful about it. I know that, and I have experienced that. But there are some people out there that are just willing to learn, and they're trying to bridge the gap. So it works both ways for me.